Hey, what's up guys? Today I want to jump into some jazz theory and jazz harmony basics. So we're going to talk about 5 super fundamental chords today. We're going to talk about major 7 chords, minor 7 chords, dominant 7 chords, half diminished 7 chords, and finally diminished 7 chords. So the great thing is that once you know these 5 types of chords, honestly you'll be able to pretty much get through any jazz standard, at least at a basic fundamental level. So without further ado, let's jump into this lesson. I'm going to show you some exercises for really understanding these, and by the end of this lesson, you are going to know the 5 chords that are an absolute must for any jazz beginner. So we're going to be building all of these chords using the C major scale. C major scale is all of the white notes starting on C. And what we do is we assign a number to each note in the scale. So C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5, A is 6, and B is 7. Super simple, right? So using those notes and those numbers, we're going to make a super simple chord here, a C major triad. So for those of you that don't know what that is, it is just built using 1, 3, and 5. Super easy. And that is the sound of a C major triad. It is the fundamental major sound, 1, 3, and 5. Anybody can recognize that. Okay, now, does anybody know how we make this minor? Well, it's super simple. I'm going to give you the answer right now since you can't actually respond to me. The answer is we just flat the 3. So a minor triad is 1, flat 3, and 5. Again, super easy. We can all recognize that sound. It's a little darker, a little bit sadder, right? Those are the classic adjectives for describing minor. Now, as we start getting into jazz, we are going to start adding in 7s. So remember how we counted up the scale? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Well, there's our 7. It is the B, okay? And that right there is our major 7, okay? That's the 7 before we flatted it. So how do we build a C major 7? Well, it's actually really easy. We just take our C major triad, 1, 3, and 5, and we just put the 7 on top. So now our C major 7 chord is C, E, G, and B. And that is it right there. That is a C major 7 chord. So as I'm talking about this, guys, if you need to do this in any other key, then you just go by the numbers. A major 7 chord in another key is always going to be based on that major scale. So we know that if we want an A flat major chord, then we just have to take 1, 3, 5, and 7 in A flat. In this case, that would be A flat, C, E flat, and G. That's 1, 3, 5, and 7 of A flat. That right there is an A flat major 7 chord. All right, next up is going to be C dominant 7. And the reason I'm doing that one second is because we just have to change one note to make it a dominant chord. So before we had 1, 3, 5, and 7 to make it major. Well, remember how I said the 7 was not flat? Well, to make it dominant, we are actually going to flat the 7. So our dominant voicing or our dominant chord is 1, 3, 5, and flat 7. Now, before we go any further, there's something I want to point out here, which is that the 3 and the 7 are, especially when it comes to jazz, the 2 most important notes when it comes to determining what chord you are playing, okay? There's something called a rootless chord. That is meant to say sometimes we might play a chord without playing the bottom note. So I might play a C major 7 and leave the C out. Well, this can still be a C major 7 because we still have a major 3rd and a 7 right here, okay? As soon as I flat this 7, whether or not I'm playing a C in the root, this is still now going to have a dominant sound to it because we have a major 3 and a flat 7, okay? Now, if we want to make this a minor chord, next step is we're actually going to flat the 3 as well. So let's really quick rewind here. Let's go back to our C major 7. We flatted the 7 and it became a C dominant 7. Okay, so we had 1, 3, 5, and flat 7. Well, now we are going to flat the 3. And now we have a C minor 7. 1, flat 3, 5, and flat 7. Alright guys, next up is a C half diminished chord. I'm not sure if you guys will recognize the sound or not, but you'll hear it a lot in jazz and really all types of music. It sounds like this. Can anyone see what we changed? Well, our minor 7 was 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7. This time we added a flat 5. So, or in other words, we flatted the 5. So we have from bottom to top 1, flat 3, flat 5, and flat 7. And that is called half diminished. Or also, sometimes it is called C minor 7, in parentheses, flat 5. So it's pretty straightforward when you think about it. It's just a minor 7 chord, but the 5 is flatted, so it makes sense. All right, guys, finally we have arrived at our 5th and final fundamental jazz chord, and that is the diminished 7. So technically what we actually have to do now is flat the 7 again. So that means we have now double flatted the 7. So that makes this chord 1, flat 3, flat 5, and double flat 7. But when we write this out, we can just write A. Because we started at a B, that was our major 7, we flatted it down to a B flat, and now we get down to an A. So we have C, E flat, G flat, and A. So in future videos, I will dive deeper into why each of these chords is important and how we can use them when we're playing jazz. So for now, what I just want to show you is, whenever you see these chord symbols on the page, you can play a major 7 chord. Now, whenever you see this very, very common symbol for a dominant 7 chord, play a dominant 7 chord. So these are a couple different ways that a minor 7 chord is written. So if you see a minor 7, play a minor 7. Next up, we've got half diminished. Here are a couple different ways that the half diminished 7 chord is written. Remember, play the half diminished 7. Okay, finally, here is how you write a fully diminished 7 chord. And remember, this is what that chord looks like. Okay, guys, so this is an exercise that's going to help us really solidify our 5 fundamental jazz 7 chords. We're actually going to just take those 5 that we've already learned, do them one after the other, but instead of just playing them like that, we are instead going to arpeggiate them up and down with both hands. Now, arpeggiating literally just means playing the notes in a chord in order, either up or down, rather than playing them all at the same time. So this is what our arpeggio is going to look and sound like. C major 7 first. We'll do it twice. Now we switch to C dominant 7 with the flat 7. Now we switch to C minor 7. Next up, half diminished. And finally, fully diminished 7. So this exercise becomes most useful, though, when we actually do these out of order. So let me show you what I mean. I'm just going to call out one of these 7th chords, and then I'm going to have to be able to switch to that one without necessarily going in the order that we're used to. So let's start with C minor 7. Next, let's do C major 7. Let's do C fully diminished 7. And now C dominant 7. And finally, C half diminished 7. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want that exercise written out, you can actually get it for free when you join my email list at jazzpianoconcepts.com. Link is in the description, so be sure to check that out. And as always, please be sure to give this video a like if you thought it was helpful, and of course subscribe and click the little bell to turn on notifications so you don't miss any more videos just like this one. Alright guys, thanks so much, and I will be back soon with a lot more good info. See you next time.